see exactly where these two teams are going to compete against one another.
Well, this should be interesting to see where they end up in terms of, will we see a repeat of the last two maps? We saw Bank and we saw Clubhouse so far. And those were both good maps, but they seemed to be very one-sided. So maybe the map we get this time will be a little more balanced between these two, but hard to say. We are going to lose Consulate first again. So maybe Bank will be next. Nope, Clubhouse. So definitely not going to see a repeat of that.
So you also have Oregon and Villa blocked out, as we'd said earlier in the Black Dragons NIP game. Villa was played last time with NIP. So Coastline now gone, and it's going to be Border versus Bank. You're right. Maybe we'll see Bank. Will we see a repeat of a map we already saw today? Survey says no.
All
We're
right.
go to Border. All right. So,
well, this should be especially interesting because last time these two teams played each other was on Border, and it was a 5-5. So speaking of balanced match. But at the same time, the roster change and the lower seed, that's been the go-to thing here for today. If they can pull it off, that'd be great, so they could finally take the map. They have had a good track record on the map, though. FaZe have done very well on it. They played it one other time during the season. They 6-1'd Ninjas in Pajamas on it. And Immortals have not played it otherwise this season, except for the one match against FaZe. So the survey says, as you mentioned, that this goes to FaZe for a variety of reasons here. But Immortals are the higher one on the leaderboard, so statistically, they should be doing pretty well on this.
both Immortals and FaZe had a bit of I would say, a disappointing showing in Paris. Both teams failed to advance past the group stages. Of course, FaZe was in that fabled group of death.
Yeah.
Rogue, Secret, FaZe, and Orgless, who have a new org. They're no longer Orgless, but we will see tomorrow, so leave you in suspense for the time being. FaZe failed to advance, and of course, Immortals in that group as well with, was it Fnatic? No, was it Immortals' group was... Oh, man.
We just came off Montreal, so I've lost the memory of that group.
I've lost the group stages in my head.
Well, I'm sure you can look them up online.
Oh, Immortals was in EG, Element Mystic, Millennium's group.
That was a fun group as well.
That was a fun group, but you've got EG and Millennium in it. That's going to be tough for you to get out of, and I don't think Immortals had all the success that they were anticipating. They went out pretty early on. In fact, they were actually the first team eliminated in that group stage.
Yeah.
Now, as we're just a couple seconds away from getting into the action, let's bring up our community vote slider down here.
You guys were right last match.
So far, they've been right every time. The underdog's getting a significant boost, and this is the most definitive of all of the community votes thus far. Is 72 for FaZe Clan and Immortals, with 20% to 8 for a draw.
Well, they read into the pattern as well. Assuming it continues, they will be right for a third time, and that even makes it even more of a hat trick, right? Than the community's part of it. Wouldn't that be something?
Well, part of why it's called a community vote is that because it's fans a lot of times voting. FaZe as an organization has quite literally millions of fans across YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, social media, etc. It's one of the most recognizable of all the esports orgs in the whole world, as they have a huge presence in a number of games. Not that Immortals is, of course, no slouch, but Immortals is a newer org. They're now their most notable team at the moment, which is owned in part, I believe, by the Immortals ownership. I can't be exactly correct, is MIBR right now, but not competing under the Immortals moniker, if I remember. So there you have it. But both these teams also have a team skin in the game. And of course, Immortals, very much an org that is growing very, very quickly. And I'm sure that they're very proud of how successful their Rainbow Six team has been. Of course, they were rocking those beautiful gold jerseys, those gold and black jerseys at Paris. But Immortals, if you play Mira, Immortals' skin is on the Vector.
You're never going to see it.
She's always going to be banned, so...
Sorry. But I think FaZe is on the Type 89, right?
The Type 89? So if you play Hibana, there you go. So Hibana's primary weapon is your FaZe clan skin, and your primary weapon for Mira in the Vector is going to be used by Immortals.
Keep an eye out for those.
NIP also, we saw earlier in action, Black Dragons, Team 1, and Pain don't have any weapon skins, but Ninjas in Pajamas has it on Glaz's OTS. It's his sniper rifle. And don't forget, Black Dragons got a team charm not that long ago. Remember, they announced the Black Dragons team charm. So
that's right.
Even though they might not be in the pilot program, you can still support Black Dragons, or well, you could have. It's not available anymore. But you can still represent Black Dragons if you do happen to have that.
I'm sure you can still just PayPal them money. I'm sure they'll take it.
Who, Black Dragons?
Yeah, why not?
You just want to PayPal money?
Yeah, if you can't buy the charm.
Don't listen to them.
All right, don't listen to them.
Don't listen to me.
All right.
But yeah, Immortals and FaZe available. And of course, we were speaking earlier on this revenue sharing agreement. So money that is raised from the Pro League sets. So, for example, the most recent Pro League set was the one that had what? It was Legion, Capitao, Echo, and there was one more that I'm forgetting. But that was the most recent set for Pro League. And, of course, most operators in the game currently have a Pro League set, which is those white, black, and gold trimmed weapon skins.
Those are good looking.
As well as your operator skins. Now, you can buy those. They're still available. And the current set is going to expire somewhat soon. So if you want to take advantage of it, go ahead. Buy it in the store. Some of that money will go back into funding the prize pool for the 6 Invitational. That is our biggest event of the year, always, usually located in Montreal in February. It does appear to be set back to in Montreal. It'll be February 11th to 17th, if I remember correctly, or 11th to 18th, right. Somewhere in that window. Tickets should be going on sale sometime soon. No idea when, but hopefully soon.
You got to snatch them up fast. I think, if I remember correctly, those went pretty
sold out
quickly
very
last
quickly.
time. Yeah.
Yes, they sold out very fast, as did Paris is selling out very quickly. I don't know when, but we'll see. At some point they will go on sale. But at least the date is known for you in February. As well, the team skins. It's a revenue sharing program, so money goes back to the teams and into the players' pockets. And then some of that money also goes towards the prize pool at the Invitational. So it's very likely that we could see that number continuously push up into the hundreds of thousands. Ideally, even possibly break 1 million would be really nice to see, to be by far and away the largest prize pool that Rainbow Six has ever had in any capacity.
It certainly doesn't hurt that the guns look nice, too.
And the gun skins are absolutely beautiful.
I mean, they're only for one gun, but because of that, they put so much attention to detail on the one gun they did. So I know it's like, oh, why are these universal? Because of that, right? Because they made them look so nice on each gun. And I'm not saying that to shill it. I'm just saying, like, I like the way they look. Very nice gun skins.
Yeah, there's no directive here for us to shill, as you said, for this kind of stuff. Like, I'm not astroturfing for Ubisoft by pretending to just be a fan of these skins. They're absolutely gorgeous. I purchased every single skin on the TS. I actually haven't played Grimsky, to the best of my knowledge, since it actually launched.
We've been zooming around
because we were in Montreal, and then before then I was doing a bunch of stuff for family and friends, and then come back here. I haven't even set up my computer since being home, so I haven't even had a chance to log in. But I will be purchasing every single one of them because those 10 skins, once again, go back to the players, go back to the orgs, go back to the Invitational prize pool, and that's a great way to support esports here. So both these teams in action. Hopefully, if Mira doesn't get banned, we'll see both teams rocking their
we missed the Glass earlier because of the ban. It was unfortunate. That's
Psycho played Glass. He died early both rounds.
That's what it was. I was thinking of the previous one. Yeah.
No, but you did get to see a number of players on NIP, especially Julia, were running the NIP charm. So the other cool thing is it's not just weapon skins. It's also the fact that there are universal charms. So all 10 teams, for 600 Rainbow Six credits, they're capable of buying the charm. You can run that charm on any gun. So yeah, you can't run the gun skin on a weapon that's not, the respective weapon, but you can run the charm on just about anything.
Just make sure you get the bundle. I had someone tell me earlier today that they accidentally bought just the charm and didn't realize there was a bundle. And then they were like, oh, no, I got to buy the skin separate.
Yes.
So get the bundle. It makes it easier.
A good way to support Pro League, a good way to support the teams, and a good way to support the great people who worked on all of this. So let's look at FaZe versus Immortals. So Border is going to be the map. The last time they met here, they tied.
Yeah.
5-5.
But there's no overtime, so there's a chance that could have easily swung into either team's favor had they had more rounds, in theory.
Right. So we'll see, is a team going to be able to take a W here? Because if there's a win, and this is very similar to Black Dragons versus NIP, Black Dragons versus NIP tied the first time they played each other. And then Black Dragons wins this tiebreaker. So if at the end of the season, Black Dragons and NIP finish with the same amount of points in 7th and 8th, NIP will be the one who goes to the auto-relegation spot because Black Dragons has the tiebreaker in hand. So think about the importance of these matches.
Yeah.
Now with FaZe and Immortals, with Immortals in 2nd and FaZe in 4th, that's striking distance. If both of these teams finish tied in points for 2nd,
that determines who goes to win.
Then this possible game could be determining who ends up getting the tiebreaker to go to LAN, because first thing you take into account is who won the most matches against each other. Then you move to the round differential. Seems pretty sensible.
Well, let's hope they don't just tie each other again. Then it'll make it so much harder to calculate if they do.
Well, then you just move to the round differential, right? So at least then you have that number, and then you go from there. But FaZe has been pretty successful on Border overall. So 6-1, defeating NIP earlier in the season. So that was a pretty good performance from FaZe. 6-2 over Black Dragons, who are also now known as NIP, but they had to go under Black Dragons in BR6 this past weekend. So just a couple days ago,
Yeah.
FaZe picked up a 6-2 victory over the team now known as NIP, who were competing under the Black
And
Dragon.
to be clear, that was still with Gohan. So
They still had Go on the team.
Yeah.
So we have not seen how they've done with Yuna on Border.
But we know they can play well with Yuna, these guys. So
Oh, I mean,
in terms of
we
the
should
individual
hope so. They
players.
played on them, like I said, with Santos Dexterity, not Black
Yeah.
Dragons, as I said earlier. They played with them with Santos Dexterity. Then FaZe also, we got a big snippet of Border with FaZe in the Paris Major. They defeated Orgulus 6-3, en route to Gohan dropping an insane amount of kills and blowing way past double digits, and then falling to Rogue 2-6 on this map. And that was all she wrote for them to be able to see there against Rogue in that particular matchup. So FaZe has only lost it once that we can see here.
And thinking about it, given the fact that this is Border as well, I think we're very unlikely to see Immortals skin.
I would imagine that Mira is going to be 100% banned here. I will be very surprised if they're not.
Well, not going to see phases either.
They banned their own skin.
Waited. Come on, guys.
FaZe will ban Hibana, and that's the Type 89, who will not be available, and we will see none. If Immortals ends up banning Mira, well, come on.
What do you do? Don't you want the prize pool to be bigger? Either way, Lion.
No representation.
Right?
No.
Just let it happen next time.
But there goes Lion.
Yeah. So the fourth, I mean, this is very likely to be the Mirror, right? So then the fourth one, is that going to be the Echo, you think? Because that's, typically...
Echo or Maestro, I would imagine, probably.
But
that's what we
Clash
usually see.
could be sneaking in there as well. Nope, it's going to be there right then.
So Immortals will ban out Clash, which likely means that forces FaZe to ban out the Mira. But I mean, it's possible that we might not see a Mira ban here. That would be pretty impressive. But
I got to say, Clash being in the game as a
Vigil.
Okay, I was going to say has been a big boon for Echo players, but all right. Well, we will see at least one gun skin.
Vigil is very strong on this map, so
Yeah.
for a couple reasons. Number one, you can roam so well on Border and be able to just simply keep the drones from getting to you. First things first.
Yeah.
But also, Vigil has a height to his ERC, his cloaking device.
Mm-hmm.
So because of this, you can be underneath a floor, and they'll think that you might still be on the same floor.
Yeah, there's not 3 floors on this necessarily to do
Right.
the kind of in-between sandwich sort of thing, but it's still 2 floors. Still very effective on that. Ying, a common operator banned on this map, and I imagine you're going to see why. But this is not necessarily the conventional bomb site starting on Bathroom.
Yeah, I was just about to say the Bathroom site is an intriguing one, but I mean, they've got the tools at their disposal. You need a bandit to be able to keep that wall on East Balcony. You also got to keep the castle there to castle off archives upstairs, and also castle off potentially Bathroom. A lot of teams will use their castle in that specific way. So this is looking to be, at least on face value, FaZe setting up in a similar manner to what we've expected.
Well, now, dropping the Jaeger, though, could be a little bit of a mistake for them because they've, of course, got the grenades from Navis on the Buck. They've got the Candelas to worry about. They've got Cyber's Lifeline grenades. Looks like, unfortunately, we might have to remake already. Starting off similar to our first match today.
Well, both 6-1, so I mean, we're still well ahead of schedule.
It's true.
We are very, very far ahead of schedule as to what's to be anticipated. Actually, well, this match was supposed to start at 3 a.m. our time, right? And it's or 2 a.m. I guess technically. If you suspect that a match goes an hour, 12-1, 1-2.
I think
so
it's
2.
usually slotted about an hour.
Actually, we're a little bit behind schedule.
Oh, it's probably because of the long start on this match.
Could be.
All right, you guys have to play it the next time.
We're a little bit behind schedule too.
All right. Oh.
I mean, those numbers are, there's some give or take there, right? Because
obviously, buffer.
Going to a 5-5 after all the operator pick phase ban, waiting for teams to get in the lobbies, go through map bans, etc. usually takes a little bit longer than an hour.
Yeah.
Typically. So, but the one thing is that with the remake, at least we know what the operator lineup was. We know they have to go to Bathroom Tellers. If the drones manage to drone them out, that's a pretty valuable insight into
catching the Echo as well,
right? Yeah, and it's like they see that there's an Echo possibly. They see that where the site is on Bathroom Tellers. This is a lot of information that Immortals now has to start things off, and they're going to take this time to go over that. So teams on defense need to go back to where they were defending. Teams on attack have to go with the same operator lineup. So Immortals now, while this game gets reset and ready for us to start fresh, Immortals knows where the site is. Immortals knows what the lineup is, and they can use that time to plot their attack routes. And maybe even they might have seen an operator or two setting up in a certain position. That castle barricade went down right away, for example. They know that there's going to be a castle, if they droned it, of course. This is all speculative.
Yeah.
There's the double doors leading into East Lobby. You know that there's a castle barricade that possibly gets set up there. All of this information that Immortals has means that the conversation that they have when they get into the game can focus on other things.
Not to mention, they didn't get a chance to get to the phase where they could have possibly spotted all the attackers. To be fair, though, they were all revealed and there was no 6th pick from the attackers, I don't believe. But they don't know that.
But they don't know that.
Exactly. They're right. So, and the reason I bring that up is while you have to pick the same bomb site and the same operators, you can change your setup. Because there's no rule of forcing you to use your castle barricades a certain way or your reinforced walls a certain way, your ADSs. You can set it up differently if you see an operator that you know you need to deal with. In this case, they might be thinking maybe we do want the Jaeger because they didn't 6th pick any of those operators that we would have been stopping with that. They do have the Capitao, which is of course not going to be dealing with the Jaeger, but nonetheless, the advantage here going to the attackers, as you pointed out, very, very rightly so.
Yeah, and Immortals already should have an advantage, being the higher seeded team, being the fact they have played better than FaZe over the last little while. This is weird because it's like Black Dragons and Pain both make roster changes. They come in and they play very, very well, but usually there's a bit of an adjustment process.
Yeah.
So, FaZe might need to work some things out because Yuna's a great player, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't necessarily come equipped with the same fragging potential and ability to carry an attack or a defense with a high amount of kills the way that Gohan is.
Well, and also, I think there's something you mentioned earlier that really factors into it. They replaced the IGL. That's a much bigger thing than replacing a fragger or a support player. You've replaced what can be sometimes the core of the team, just straight out ripped out its little Iron Man power heart, shoved the new one in, and hope it works.
Also keep in mind, though, that Mav was doing a lot of IGLing as well. Mav had a strong voice. He was doing some calls for FaZe. And you've also got Cameraman, who's very talkative. Moringa and Astro are not exactly the most vocal members of FaZe, so not really a surprise to see them not shouldering, some of that load. But you've got Mav and Cameraman, who are both extremely talkative. I wouldn't be surprised, now that Gohan has been sidelined on the team and benched, taken his leave because he announced that he was taking some time off, even though his technical position is benched, to see Mav and Cameraman be a bit more hands-on with the IGLing and maybe give Yuna some assistance there to try and prevent that boat from being rocked as much as it could be with the change in personnel. Well,
in this case, if Mav and Yuna played before, this might be the case where they picked him up partially because he knows he can IGL, and maybe he wants to take some of the load off himself as well, picking up someone he thinks maybe can IGL better than Gohan did. Maybe doesn't need to support as much on that, so that could have been part of the reason for that pickup. But that will be a shift in IGL style, even if they've known each other, even if he can communicate, here's how I've been IGLing to support Gohan. It's going to be a change in style. It's going to be a change in communication. Luckily, it's not a change in language, like we saw with, say, Aces on Millennium, for example. But it's still going to be a change.
As well.
Yeah, or Makin as well, exactly.
Yeah. Teams having to comm in another language, and when we say comm, it means like communicate, do their comms in another language. There's always usually an immediate impact that is very detrimental to a team.
I would say Millennium didn't seem to suffer from that, but when Aces can just kind of frag out of his mind, doesn't make as much of a difference.
But they won a lot of rounds off of the back of his play. Who knows how much
I meant
of it
the end result, not necessarily. Right. Yeah, I agree, though. I think it probably shifted the way that they communicate as a team.
Yeah. But, there's been a number of teams in a number of games, and, you look no further than MIBR in CSGO, who are affiliated with the Immortals brand. They very famously picked up Stewie from America. Speaks American, speaks English, technically.
I hope he speaks American.
Well, there is English and then there's American.
English dialect.
So, it's like we say, you speak American. He speaks American. He doesn't speak Portuguese. So that forced all of MIBR to have to change their language, and they had to comm in another language, but now they've also picked up Tarek. So they haven't been the same team that they were when they played under SK Gaming, just to use probably the most famous and most recent example in any game outside of Rainbow Six. And then you look at Rainbow Six, and it's like Mocket have changed from French over to English now.
Yeah.
T3H changed from German over to English. They're competing in EU Challenger League. Penta has always been a team that's been able to communicate in English because they are such a diverse roster of players from all over. And now You've got Millennium joining the pack too. So Yuna jumping in, yeah, there's going to be no language barrier there, but there's very definitely going to be a readjustment in terms of strats, in the way that these teams function and how fluid all these calls are.
Well, we'll see how that plays out, though, in terms of their first defense, where they're going to need to keep track of a lot of attackers, making sure. But they have the cameras here from Mav that I think are going to help with that to an extent, assuming they can make the right calls off of that. Yuna got to make the same 6th pick, so he does not reveal. If they didn't happen to catch him on Echo, it's possible they might not have droned him out. They might not know about that just yet. But they do very, very likely know about bathroom tellers, and that's the biggest thing, right, on this attack, is they can adjust their drone positioning to save some time on their initial attack by adjusting it for that particular bomb site. They might not even need to spot the bomb site because, of course, they can't change, so they don't need to actually identify it with the drone itself. If they were going to even, they can set the drones outside of the map, potentially, where they might have had to put it inside before. So that's going to help the drone economy, as we like to call it, for Immortals.
So here we go. As you mentioned, and as we mentioned earlier on, they have to go to the site that they had shown before. They go with the same operator lineup that should benefit Immortals. Give them just a bit more time to prepare and know exactly what's going to be heading their way, or heading the way of FaZe. Kind of a bit of a blow to FaZe, though, overall, with the fact that they have all this information and the surprise that's just been taken right away.
On the upside, they probably didn't catch the full setup of it, and they might not know how they play this. So it is an extra edge, but it's hard to quantify how much of an edge that is because of how little time they had during the drone phase before it was cut off.
I am really not looking forward to how I am probably just going to get roasted for the fact that I said they speak American.
I honestly didn't understand you. You were speaking Canadian at the time, so I didn't pick up on that.
I meant American English, which is a very defined style of language. Like,
don't call it Ebonics at this point, though.
Like sue me for saying, like, American English.
Don't say that to Americans. They will sue you.
I'm not going to say American English. They speak American English. It's
Fair.
fine. It's like how favorite has a U in it, but it doesn't have a U in it in American.
We are
American
efficient.
English.
We dropped
so
it.
Color, you take the U out of color, and you just go COLOR. Like,
It's beautiful.
like I said, same with favorite. It's frustrating. Same with armor.
It's wonderful. We save so many letters.
Yeah, boy. What efficiency.
Well,
1 minute in here on the first round of Border. And you got Moringa sitting inside of Workshop, watching the doorway over towards the server stack to see if anybody's going to push in. Immortals have already made their presence known here in the east lobby downstairs, and you've got Diogo as the Ying, who could be a pretty disruptive force if he's able to vault inside of tellers. But
I think the big problem is going to be the echo, though, in the bathroom. Because even if you go and blind everyone, it won't blind the yokai drone.
no, and I mean, if you have Echo, he's likely playing behind those two ceramic or stone walls inside a bathroom by the showers that make him almost impossible to hit without actually going in and engaging with him one-on-one.
Exactly, and I think that's going to be the big problem for them. They do at least have the hard breacher to be able to open up the wall if they need to, if they could take control right here of this workshop. But it's going to be a hard fight because, of course, they're going to be expecting this push.
Navi's seeing the wall there. We had mentioned that half wall that the Echo is playing crouched below. If he does pop up for just a second, but daring Navi's to make that shot, he's going to give his position away on the Echo, though. And Cyber also, just as a side note, running that Immortals charm. So there you go. You can see it.
Ooh.
Oh, a great volley from FaZe as Moringa and Astro are there as they see Immortals sprint in to try to take down Yuna. He will get found by Cyber, but it requires them to lose two bodies at the same time. A refrag onto Mav as Diogo sprays through the wall. A good mark on a drone. Shotgun pulled out by Moringa playing in that bathroom, and it will meet Cyber right in the chest. But control for the Thermite. They'll have to watch the hatch from above. The Bandit of Astro will circle. He'll drop the Thermite, and there you have it. Cameraman pushes out to finish off Diogo. The Ying playing inside of that east lobby, and FaZe will get the first victory of this map.
Quite the frag fight there. It was interesting. So whenever we see a bathroom take, it's all about taking that top floor, right? In this case, they knew that was the bomb site, and they just went for it. They just pushed for the server side. You saw them take over the lobbies you mentioned earlier. They just took that bottom floor control and said, forget the people upstairs. We know they're going to be on the hatches. We know how they're going to play this. Well executed. I mean, it got a little scrappy, but the first person they killed, the Echo, they were right on top of that. Fortunately for him, he was a little exposed and gave away his position. It was a good refrag, though, from the smoke playing in there with shotgun, but not quite enough. Yuna, though, Maybe he'll be rocking the Immortals skin for us here, but they are going to be going to Vents now. And he is going to be the one to use the 6th pick the second time, teasing out that he would play the Echo again and not going to be doing that. But this is a good choice here, and that will help with that upstairs defense, as well as, I suppose there's ways you could use it downstairs.
Defenders, protect your bomb.
There you have it. So I'm very surprised, honestly, that Mira made it through this ban phase. I understand the Vigil ban because he can be a headache to deal with.
I feel like it's mostly just used against Canadian, as usually the Vigil bans. I mean, there has been some in Latin America, to be fair. I have seen some Vigil bans before. I don't remember which teams, but I feel like Canadian's the one that usually draws that kind of ban.
Yeah. So set up top, and like every time we play on Border, the focus is going to be on taking over archives and taking care of Fountain. That is going to be your biggest achievement as an attacker, is to be able to take out the defenders playing up there. That's where they're going to be positioned. Usually you only see 1 or 2 bodies on site. You usually have possibly one playing aggressively near site on that first floor, and the other 3 will be played up top.
Well, they are going to be starting their approach potentially downstairs if they want to go for another similar take. So these are both downstairs bomb sites, both split defense bomb sites. Essentially, you have to play people upstairs above the bomb site to be able to hold the defense of it, as you mentioned about taking office, or fountains rather. In this case, though, it looks like they are going for a topside take, which I always find is a little dangerous depending on the composition upstairs. If there's 3 people upstairs, chances are you're going to lose a few fights trying to take control of that top floor. If you can pressure both and force some of the people to rotate down, you can take control of the top floor a little bit easier potentially, but it is risky to do so, as there is a lot of roam potential downstairs and the ability to rotate back up through a couple stairwells. But nonetheless, they are at least droning at first, getting some good positioning. Unfortunately, you can see from the silhouette, he did spot the drone and takes it right out. Now you're going to have to try and help open this wall up, potentially with that EMP. In the case of the Mirror there, he's going to have to deal with that bandit also.
Yeah. So 1 minute is eclipsed in round number 2, as you still see some setup coming in from FaZe as they try to open up more of the wall from ventilation into Workshop. They're sitting inside a Workshop looking towards the vents wall. That'll give them an angle if you see a hop-in push from Immortals. Immortals once again setting themselves up with a composition that works very well for a rush plant, especially with the Zofia and the Ying quarterbacking that strategy. Unfortunately, for the first round, we didn't get to see exactly what Immortals was trying to pull off, as they all kind of fell to pieces very early, especially with that really fast 2-piece that was able to go down from FaZe, as Immortals doubled up on pushing the bathroom to try and take care of Yuna as he was playing the Echo. Moringa is going to be in the bathroom this time around, as the Smoke is just going to be watching the doorway with the barricade to see if anybody tries to come in and take that angle away from the defenders.
He's already taken about half his health of damage as well, surprisingly, and he's going to be very important for this defense to delay it out, because usually the take of the top floor takes up a lot of time. So when it comes to pushing the bottom floor, time is your enemy. And speaking of which, already less than a minute left and no kills outside of the damage to Moringa.
Yeah, so it's been a pretty slow round here. Cyber is just committing to this very patient play on a kill hole through the wall, trying to dare Astro to take the fight. Astro and Cyber are 2 of the best shots in all of Latin America, so that would be fun to see them try and square off against each other. Cameraman dumps out a C4, but a wise retreat from Immortals as they don't end up losing their life to that explosive. But still, the Bandit here playing on that mirror window. He'll push up. Astro gets a kill on the Navis. That was the Jaeger that was being hunted. Managed to make his way out of sight, but there's Cyber there to clean it up. And Uke also getting a kill, as there goes a Candela off in the bathroom, and Diogo's going to sprint, trying to go into the finish, anticipating that Moringa would be playing by that wall. But no, Moringa's there, but 2 dive on him. Moringa doesn't see it. Oh my goodness, Moringa with another. This man is insane. He's got Diogo down as the Ying just jumps on top of him. They'll need to go for a plant, but Moringa lines it up, and oh man, single-handedly winning the round for FaZe is the Smoke, who goes unchecked. FaZe up 2-0.
Well, that was unfortunate for them. They had a great attack, got a huge amount of kills leading into that push, but time was not on their side, as I mentioned earlier, just taking way too long to get set up for that. Good execute in terms of getting the kills at least, but you got to be set up for that plant earlier, and you saw kind of the desperation dealing with Moringa. You should have pretty much known where he was at that point, so the way he was planting, leaving himself just a little too exposed, that was I don't know, probably not the best way to execute on it, but he just had so little time left. We'll see, though, Immortals going to be running a similar attack lineup. We're going to see no Thatcher, though. They're going to be bringing a Dokkaebi and a Twitch although they could 6-pick off one of those. Yuna again switching to the Echo as a 6-pick, this time from Bandit. And Astro bringing out, I think, the first mute so far. But they are going to be going upstairs now, so they could go back to bathroom, I suppose, but probably not the best idea to do so soon. So armory lockers it will be.
Attackers need to locate.
We'll see how they set up for this defense that are, again, of course, going to have that mirror to take advantage of. In this case, this is the bomb site, though, where Ying is going to be a bit more effective. So we'll see if Yu can manage to pull off the first round here for Immortals.
So here we go. We'll finally go to the more sensible bomb site, typically upstairs in Armory, which is usually very easy to defend if you have a Mira available to you. Especially with this Hibana ban, this should really benefit the defenders. In fact, I would say that the defense absolutely comes out ahead here with these two operator bans, because you don't have a Lion and a Hibana. You lost a Vigil in a clash, and I mean, if you're FaZe and you don't run a Vigil, I mean, they banned the Vigil out, and they don't have a clash in their back pocket. They have a mirror available to them, which Cameraman has played so well on so many different maps.
Yeah.
I feel like most of Cameraman's highlights from Mira always come on Consulate, though. But Border, obviously a map that works very well with her, and her ability to hold Customs as well. Keep that in mind. Customs is a site that has seen a lot of play because you can use a Mira to anchor upstairs over top of it. But we haven't even seen a Customs go out yet. In fact, the very first Logic Bomb will go off in 30 seconds, and Diogo using that time to maybe pin down the Roamers. And of course, there's some fearsome roam potential on behalf of FaZe Clan, especially with Mav and Astro. Astro in particular. He doesn't have Gohan available to roam with him this time, but I think Yuna's been able to provide a steady hand here, playing more of an anchor and defensive role alongside Cameraman and Moringa.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't die like he did in the previous round of Bathrooms, I think he should be effective in stalling this out along with the smoke. And Cameraman, of course, as you mentioned, on that mirror. So between all that, this is going to be difficult taking. It looks like they are going primarily for a take onto the lockers, I would imagine. At the same time, they're looking at a lot of different areas, a lot of different hatches, worried about downstairs. But I don't know if anyone's even bothering to play down there. They're more concerned with trying to stop a push from below to potentially open up the windows even. But the fact that they don't have a Hibana makes me think they probably don't want to mess with fountains generally from the office's side, so that leads to a locker stake.
And I mean, there's a lot of teams that will run an Armory Lockers defense upstairs, and they'll, keep a ton of bodies on site. You'll see 5 people playing in Fountain, inside of Archives, inside of Armory, and then inside a small office. In fact, it's very rare for teams to run a body downstairs, but when you do, it's almost always a C4-equipped operator, a Pulse, possibly a Valkyrie, or even a Vigil, as we mentioned. But Vigil being banned means that it would probably just be a Valkyrie or a Pulse down there. Once again, Moringa is the first person to take any damage. Round number 3, you could hear he got hit as 2 members of Immortals getting very close to that singular doorway, and there you have it. Yuke will just peek around the corner. He's on the Ying now instead of Diogo. Diogo on the Dokkaebi. Moringa falls off, and he was integral to saving that round for FaZe last time.
Well, we also heard one of the mirrors get opened by a Twitch. Now the Candela's going out. They're getting set up for this execute. They've got full control of the Archives area. There goes the other mirror window. A lot in favor here for Immortals. And
Cyber's going to get the lead-off kill on actual execute as Cameraman has felled. He gets down with a swift headshot. You've lost 2 anchors. A rotate from Astro as he pushes into CCTV. Sees a hop in, but he cannot win the fight against Diogo, who even with the recoil changes is able to get his own kill with that SMG-12 in hand. Mav just underneath the window inside of small office. He's now worked and just wiggled out, watching to see if there's going to be a plant go down. Smoke's tossed out, and Navi's is gone. Mav going for a second. He'll pick up 2 kills on the day, and we'll see if the long angle of this ACOG of Yuna will work alongside Mav. Diffuser is down, so there will be a time limit for them to work against. A bit of a crunch here. Diogo still working his way on the flank. Looks through that open mirror window. And he'll now rotate towards hallway, towards 90, but Mav will get picked off as Mav tries to go for a flank to possibly go for a retake. It'll be all up to Yuna now. As Mav got 2 kills, 1 will go down to Yuna, meaning that's just Diogo and Cyber. They just need to hold tight angles and wait. But you've also got presence below. That's Cyber playing underneath. Pings going down from the drones, and Yuna will win that fight. But where is Cyber to go for the defuse? Getting marked away. No comeback for FaZe as Yuna immobilized and vulnerable. Getting pinged as he tries to stick the defuse. And it will be the Zofia underneath for Immortals to take their very first round.
Well, we'll see if they can keep that up, because if they can, they'll break the hat trick. If not, we could continue forward still potentially with that 6-1. Back to bathroom, though. We'll see how that will go. They seem to like this bomb site. So maybe, as you said, we didn't really get a chance to see a ton of it in action previously. Am I remembering incorrectly? I thought the attackers, meaning Immortals, had one bathroom.
Nope.
Guess not, though.
It got shut down. The last one
right.
left was the Ying after getting a kill. Diogo inside of East Lobby.
That's right.
Didn't work. And phase 1.
Phase 1.
Phase 1.
This is phase 4 now of the defense.
Phase up.
All right. They are going to bring the Thatcher again for this, which should help clear out any ADSs or anything else they need to get going on this. They have the Dilka Beat for the smoke, along with 2 soft breachers there from the Ash and Sophia, along with the hard breacher of Thermite. So plenty of utility to make this execute. We'll see if they go for a bottom floor take again, or if they're actually going to try and clear the top first. They also have the Valkyrie on defense to get those cameras to know when to rotate, potentially depending on how they set those up, if they need to rotate down. I imagine Thermite probably going to use at least one of his charges on the wall there. Downstairs, going on into tellers, could potentially use another one up for offices up here where Astro's setting up, if they can Thatcher those batteries off without him bandit tricking it.
All right. Amazed that we really haven't seen much of Maverick or Clash either. Both, of course, remain. Well, Clash is banned, but Maverick is not.
Definitely could be useful when you've lost the other hard breacher of the bottom.
You know what I did? I keep looking, so I structure my notebook. And originally I was told that FaZe Immortals was the 3rd match of the day.
Oh, I see.
So I had FaZe Immortals.
Yeah.
I have Team 1, I had Team 1 and Pain as the 3rd map of the day. So I have it over there, so every time I try to like do a quick glance at my notepad, I keep looking at the Team 1 Pain stats, and I just think to myself, I'm just like, yeah, no wonder. But I'm like, why haven't we seen Clash?
Thankfully, mine's on
Clash,
the other
Clash
page,
isn't banned.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong game. Rip. Oh, that's a big old rip right there.
All right, well.
All right, onto that east wall, outside on east balcony. Use an EMP of Thatcher to try and take some of those bandit charges away. And speaking of the bandit, Astro trying to ensure that his teammate, oh, a beautiful shot on the Cyber. His cameraman will manage to get away just in the nick of time as he drops down through the hatch and will actually get reset. So Immortals, in a situation that looked like they were going to be able to walk away with an advantage, they lose it. And even though they managed to do 50 damage to the castle, it's Astro who gets the kill. And Cyber, as the Sophia down, means that there's going to be a lot of those disruption tools for the attackers negated from the death of Cyber.
Yeah, that's a big kill because that is usually one of the top fragging operators, or at least ones that puts a lot of hurt and pressure on to even roamers, because of the way those concussion grenades are used to find them out as well as stun them for the additional pressure. Not to mention, there's plenty of utility left on the defenders to try and repel this push, because time management has not been Immortal's strength, and that is going to play into the hands of Yuna and Moringa, who is thankfully at full health for quite a while this time. See if we can use that to hold it off, but they do have some top floor control there. You saw Navi's there playing just above. Now they've got to turn that into some downstairs control.
So Immortals already finding themselves on their back foot. And as you said, they haven't had the best time management at all. Pretty decent time management last round, but other than that, it has not been great. I mean, they really were able to thrive off that early pick. And look, they were going to get another, but Yuna from below punishes Navi's after using that breaching round of Ash to try and open up a sight line, and it will be used against him. So 5v3 for FaZe, and it doesn't really matter what kind of time management you have, but a whole bunch of smoke is going to get dumped into the site, as you'll see the plant of 1 on that Thermite have to fall off. 2 from FaZe, as Astro and Moringa will leave last one left up as 1. But Moringa will add to that as a second kill comes out for FaZe, and that is a very, very quick and flawless 5-0 on that round. It is 3-1 in favor of FaZe.
Well, now we're seeing why they favor that bathroom, seeming to work out for them very well, despite the fact that the upstairs was able to be taken by Immortals, not without cost, but they just could not turn that into attacking downstairs. And usually we say, you know, once that top floor is taken, the bottom will soon fall after, and it's not anything you can do anything about. But they were able to repel it very well. They were ready for that top floor take and used it against the attackers, because of course there was some predictability in where they would be upstairs. So nicely done on the execution. Here's another bomb site they have already defended successfully in vents.
Yeah, so the typical bomb site, which is Armory upstairs, Armory, Lockers, and Archives. No, we're going to see it one time. FaZe loses it and then think, all right, well, we'll go elsewhere. And if it works, it works. Both Bathroom and Workshop defenses from FaZe have been successful. We'll see if they can add to their tally with Workshop falling in their column again. And that would be another 4-1 split. Now, Black Dragons and Nip was 4-1 in favor of Black Dragons. Pain was 4-1 over Team 1. We're on the precipice of FaZe also going up 4-1 against Immortals. But I think a lot of this, too, is not necessarily just the impact of Yuna as a player, but I think with the way this is set up, with Hibana and Lion Band, and then the two defensive bands being Vigil and Clash, this really benefits the defenders. And Border's usually a pretty even match, with the operator bands having an enormous impact over whether the attackers can run up the score or the defenders. This time around, Lion and Hibana are two crucial operators for the attackers to be deprived of. Whereas on defense, you've still got Maestro, you've still got Echo, you've still got Smoke, and you've still got Mira all available. That's a lot for the defenders to rely upon, and that's partially why I think the defense is doing so well.
Funny enough, though, the one bomb site where almost all those defenders really help hold it out is the one that they lost, Armory Lockers. That's the one where you can really feel the impact of many of those operators all at once on that one area. But nonetheless, they couldn't win that because the attack came from the other side.
Yeah, usually you see that those defenders do so well because you've got somebody playing at half wall or bunker, as it might be known as by some teams. Over on the Armory Lockers side of things, you usually have somebody playing on sandwich, which is the position in between those two sets of lockers by the window. Somebody in small office, but Immortals, big credit to Immortals because they just went around it. And here we go. Bandit Wires will be gone as this Twitch drone of Navi's finding so much value. It only has 5 shots, but it's going to get a Goo Mine, an ADS, and 2 Bandit Wires, and it's going to go hunting for that Mira window, but it'll get shot just in time. So 4 of those 5 zaps from the Twitch drone will manage to get a gadget each. That's pretty decent for one Twitch drone. And
he was able to successfully take out 2 Mira windows last time on the Armory attack.
Yes.
So I've got to give a lot of credit to Navi's. He's doing an excellent job, but we know him as a very good Twitch player already.
Navi's is also just a tremendous player. Both he and Cyber are such good shots on their team, and part of what makes Immortals so formidable. Sounds like the Logic Bomb #1 is going to go off here with a push from Immortals. This one Candela gets eaten by an ADS. That must be frustrating for Yuke. Yuke back on that Ying as we see Diogo over on Hibana. And this was the same setup that they used when they attacked Armory. It worked very well on Armory. How well was it going to translate? Well, for the time being, there's one Candela that's been burned away and only one Logic Bomb remaining, and they didn't really see any success from either of those gadgets being tossed out.
Well, credit to FaZe for being able to fall back to site without losing anyone. I mean, it's nice if you can take out some of the attackers and punish them for that top floor control, but Yuna does just fine anyways with the C4, and that is 2 Candelas not going to be thrown now.
Yeah, and Yuke also a pretty good player. Used to play for the roster that is now Team Liquid back when they were still playing under BRK, who's returned to action on this Immortals roster. He was originally picked up as their coach. So he's a pretty good hand that is now going to be cooled. Cameraman will use his C4 as he softens up Navi's, but the Twitch will come right back in. Just crouch walking away, the phone trying to be silenced, but no, Cameraman gets caught as Cyber gets one, but Astro and Yuna are there. Yuna with 2 kills, making his presence known. And there's Mav reading that so correctly. Mav with 2 on the 1 and Diogo, and FaZe will walk away for the 3rd time today with a 4-1 split after that first half.
The curse continues. Not sure how far it will go, but it is certainly looking like it is 2 rounds from going all the way to that perfect hat trick. Who would have thought we could see the underdogs coming out not just every time, but 5 rounds up, maybe every time, and with that roster change. Still possible we could see an extreme comeback here from Immortals, but FaZe are 1 round away from locking up at the very least a tie here, so we could end up seeing maybe a 5-5 again on this map. So either way, though, FaZe, fantastic play on their defenses, but now they switch sides, so things could change around. Looks like one going to take a page out of Yuna's book, and 6th pick over to the Echo. But Moringa 6th picking over to the Thatcher could, I suppose, help with that to an extent, although I would say IQ might be more of an impact in terms of stopping him. But we'll see how it goes. Otherwise, a lot of similar lineup here on this attack coming out. We are going to be starting on Armory Lockers, the one site that FaZe could not win. Let's see if Immortals can change things, not only with the curse, but also with the bomb site. Finally change things around. As you mentioned earlier, they have, in terms of bans, everything in their advantage for this bomb site.
Yeah. And this is where we're really going to stress test the idea that the defense is just inherently, has an inherent advantage here, or inherently better for the time being. Because I suspect that as good as FaZe has looked, and FaZe has looked really convincing on most of these plays, it's also been because they've been aided by these operator bans. Both these teams set it up so that the defense should be able to come away with a majority of wins. And I think this game is very far from over. Despite the fact that it's 4-1, I would not be too surprised to see Immortal take 2 to 3 rounds here, possibly even on defense, and really close that gap in a hurry. I think this first round is going to be pivotal, though, because if FaZe is able to walk away with a round victory here, it could be a bit demoralizing knowing that Immortals' best result would be a tie.
Yeah, definitely a bummer situation to be in, but nonetheless, it's still much better than losing any possible points. When you mentioned earlier being tied up there with Liquid, it's a tough competition for those top 2 spots.
Oh, of course, and if Immortals gets 1 point here, then they would for at least a day, depending on what happens in that Liquid boot camp game. If Immortals walks away with a point, they would take sole possession of first place in Latin America. Most importantly, though, the series between FaZe and Immortals, as I said at the start before we got into the actual match, was 5-5. So they tied their very first game. Another tie would mean that there would have to go to the round differential, as there'd be no set tiebreaker between the teams.
Well, we'll see if they can hold it off half as well as FaZe did on the other bomb sites, and maybe a little bit better than FaZe did on this particular one. Looks like the take is going for an office setup here. So that is something that seemed to work a little bit better for Immortals when they attacked it as well. Reading the fact that, of course, having all the defenders having an advantage on the Armory side, they are going to go for the back take. But unfortunately, Moringa cannot land enough of those shots, although Navi's very low on health.
And Navi's expecting somebody else from FaZe to tag in onto that east stairs. Could we see one here from Navi's as he looks for a second kill? No, Mav is there to make sure that his teammate Moringa will be able to get picked up, but he is only one well-placed C4 away from a double kill going in favor of Immortals. Moringa will get back to life with 50 HP, and that's important because the Thatcher will be required on the Archives wall. And there you have it. The MP goes down, and with it the Bandit Wires, and because Navi's was the first casualty for Immortals, there'll be no opportunity to put the Bandit Wires back. A common theme among Immortals is their inability to land shots today, and Yuke will be a great example of that, as he hits a lot of it but can't end up getting the kill. As you see both Astro and Mav low on HP, but the mirror of Yuke, who got very aggressive behind that black mirror, will pay for it. Cyber sees a push inside of Archives and offices, but there you have it. Another miss for him, as that'll be Mav getting kill number 2 on this round. That'll leave a lot of pressure onto Diogo and One, as we're in the final 30-second stretch here. One will post up and just peek out the newly exposed hole that's created by this exothermic charge. Looks away at the last second, as you can see FaZe is just getting very, very close. Mav walks in, but no! Cameraman's own breaching charge is there, and this could turn the tide. The Thermite just playing by that office wall, looking to head into Archives for a second. His head will pop up. One will spray, but cannot connect. His Astro will be able to finish him off. Diogo finds Yuna, but last man left is the Smoke playing inside a sandwich. And Cameraman, who'd been given the team kill earlier, will have a brief stroke of redemption as he'll move FaZe onto match point with that final kill.
Well, guaranteed tie at the very least now for FaZe. And we are 1 round away from completing that trifecta. Either way, though, as you mentioned, a lot of missed shots coming out from Immortals. They might want to hop into Terrorist Hunt after this match, do a little practice run, see if they can maybe lock that down. Maybe the new recoil throwing them off a little bit. But nonetheless, that also means it's down to a lot of really well-placed shots by FaZe outside of that team kill, although to be fair, that wasn't with a bullet. That was with a gadget. And it did get a little bit chaotic around that wall. So not a huge surprise there. We are going to see a Blackbeard brought out here, so that should be... Oh, nope. Moringa teasing me again for the 6th pick. Over to that Thatcher again. And then we're going to see a sneaky Valkyrie coming out from Cyber. Hopefully that will help them. They're going to try Armory one more time. So far, the only site that has not been won continued. Right on Armory again. And I imagine push probably going to come to the same side again from the back, as I would say that was fairly successful.
Yeah. Overall, yeah, it worked out quite well. And I mean, 2 things. Like I said, Immortals have really not been hitting their shots today. FaZe have just been so good at landing their shots on the intended targets, whereas Immortals have done a superb job of taking about 80% of the health away from a FaZe player, but not being able to finish up and get the rest of the kill. But also, one thing that Immortals have done is they've been a bit too hasty in how they've taken fights. Yuke, right there, did not at all need to peek around that mirror window, yet he did. And what happens is that Vector just bobbles over way too much, and you've got coverage from 2 members of FaZe. You lose that fight, even though you did a considerable amount of damage to both Astro and possibly the Buck of Mav, as they were both lined up in similar spots. No, you still lose that fight. You lose the C4, you lose a pretty good gun, one of the best guns at close range, just being able to chew through the opponents in that Vector, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
Cyber looked like he was actually going to go for a spawn peek over at the east door, top of east stairs, but he'll get droned out and he falls off, and that could have been a possible nail in the coffin for Immortals if they took that risk and managed to lose 1 member of the team early enough on to allow FaZe to just continuously push towards the site, knowing that there was a numbers advantage in their favor.
Well, speaking of C4, thinking about it, one of the things that Immortals could do is take advantage of the fact that FaZe's coverage of each other often means there are at least 2 members of the team close to each other in close quarters. A well-placed C4 could do a lot of damage and then not be necessarily in a situation where they can't finish the kill. So I think keeping your C4 players alive along with the smoke is probably the biggest asset they have right now. They have at least 2 C4s at a smoke, and Cyber going to take down, well, the entry fragger, so it's not as big a deal, but he at least won't be able to team kill with it this round.
Yeah, nor secure the final kill either. Navi's was prepped for a run out there, and he'll get pinched by Moringa. As you see, the Thatcher will rotate, but Cyber able to get his second kill. Astro works towards the window and just is unable to vault in time as Cyber shuts that one down. This has probably been one of the better starts from Immortals. Not as good as the round that they won in round number 3 when they were attacking onto Armory, but still, they find themselves in a very comfortable position, having taken out probably the 2 best fragging operators in the Ashe and the Zofia from FaZe. But Cyber will end up paying for it, as Yuna, the Thermite, an unusual operator to find that kill at this point in time in the round, but it'll put us back at a 3v3. It'll also take the C4 from Cyber out of the equation. Still a C4 presumably in the hand of Yuke.
But that's 2 down, because I mentioned the Bandit had one as well.
Yes, Mav from below trying to do what Buck is intended to do, but Diogo oddly positioned as that smoke to take an engagement that you wouldn't expect the smoke to take. 1 minute left, and you will see the Armory wall finally get opened up by Yuna. Diogo has been down by half wall. That'll leave Yuke and 1 up, but the Yokai is still in action. So you can see it's just being played by that small office. Yuna doesn't know how to secure the kill at the time being, not necessarily knowing that they're downed, but Yuke will get finished off in 1 as the only member that is still upright. He's got great intel, but too preoccupied with his gadget, and while he's sitting on the Yokai, he'll be hunted down, and FaZe will take it as we see our third 6-1 of the day. And you said it, here's the hat trick, Devin.
What, I mean, I feel bad for the losing teams to say this, but what a perfect triangle there. of
3 matches, the lower ranked team all had made 3 matches. So there's your first point of the triangle. Second point of the triangle. The lower ranked and lower seeded team in every single matchup were the only teams that had made a roster change. And then all 3 of those teams won, and they were all favorites in the community vote despite being the lower seeded team.
And all the exact same score.
And all the exact same score, 6-1,
Who'd have thunk
6-1,
it?
6-1. It's beautiful when these days just happen. But Latin America also has this interesting set of, I guess, coincidences.